I want to move on to something that is truly a sad story for us doctors. It's coming out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's a report that was released this week by the Veteran Affairs Inspector General's office, found that 215 patients died while they were awaiting a specialist appointment that had either been canceled or pushed back. And why this matters is 2 years ago, this particular VA hospital in Phoenix had been noted as covering up and even changing records to not show the length of time that patients were waiting to be seen. In fact, the report found a quarter of all specialist consults in 2015 were canceled, and some of it's just outdating scheduling procedures. There's also, though, been a long trail of misconduct at this particular facility, but it highlights something as a jumping off point of Veterans Affairs hospitals. Some of them do a much better job than others, but if you are looking at a facility like this where they've had 6 different directors since 2014, clearly it's a mess.
Well, that's the issue, is the organization part, and this probably is the single biggest healthcare organization in our country. And who are they taking care of? Our vets, some of whom have been injured, some of them who have chronic problems, some related to them serving our country, others not. But this system has to be fixed. When you hear something about cover-ups and trying to sweep something under the rug, that is inexcusable. But I think a lot of the problem, as you said, is organizational. We switched over computer programming in our office as far as scheduling. The minute that gets a little out of kilter, you're going to have big problems. And I want to give them somewhat of a benefit of doubt on there, but there's no doubt we're in an election year that the VA system has to be improved. I've spent time at the VA here at UCLA in Westwood, and that is one of their model VAs. I mean, the doctors are great. The physical plant, the technology that is there is excellent, but it's such a big organization.
Well, and anytime you're dealing with a really big organization, right. and I think back to when I was training, I spent a lot of time at a VA hospital, and in some ways it was brilliant because it was a true safety net for our veterans.
Right.
But a lot of the things were outdated. And even take a computer system, if a computer system is flawed, and use the example of the VA, which luckily it is a self-contained system, but for instance, you may be going through a veteran's patient care records and their last visit, maybe it was a fingernail infection, and that gets in the system. And then trying to figure out sometimes with the vets, the way their scheduling system is, their medical records, their past medical history, it is a morass of information, and it's very easy to understand how this could happen at a VA hospital, because in some cases, the systems just are not nearly as easy to use, even for doctors, because the doctors who are working at VA hospitals, by and large, are dedicated healthcare practitioners, but the systems put them in such a difficult bind.
Had 6 different directors come in and out in the last few years. I mean, they can't have, they're not finding somebody at the top to steer the ship, and the VA system, as we know, has to be improved.
Well, and it's interesting because absolutely,
they serve our country, they deserve better.
Well, you all have has anyone ever watched a glacier move? It's pretty slow, right?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in healthcare, whether you're talking about the VA or the healthcare system in general, things move at a glacial pace. Obviously, it doesn't seem like a lot has changed at this VA hospital in the last few years. Representative Jeff Miller from Florida happens to be the chair of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, said the report proved that the work environment at the Phoenix VA is marred by confusion and dysfunction, and the problems won't be solved until there are consequences up and down the chain of command. So clearly some major changes need to take place.